Hey everyone, greetings. It's Naomi Wolf, and I'm so delighted to be joined once again by one of our favorite guests and our sponsor, founder and CEO of American Alternative Assets, Shanon Davis. Welcome back, Mr. Davis.
Welcome. Thank you for having me again. I'm always welcome to be here.
We always welcome you, and I'm glad that you welcome me as well, because it is always a wonderful experience to have your expertise. And as I was saying before the cameras started rolling, there is so much going on in the world of destabilized currency and assets. There's never been a better time to talk to you. I say that every time I talk to you, but the world of assets only becomes more and more unstable.
Yep.
So let's just jump right in. Ghost towers, what are they? And it's such a creepy phrase. It almost sounds like the title of a horror movie. What is a ghost tower, and why should I be concerned about it?
Yeah, it's an interesting take that we've got on it. You know, it's just, this is information that people don't have the ability to get at the tip of their finger, at their hands, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, the ghost tower index, as we call it, it's simple, but powerful. It's a powerful indicator. It's about the dark windows in our city, right? When you're driving by a building, one out of 5 office buildings in America now sit empty.
Whoa.
Yeah, that vacancy rate is 20.7%. It's the highest it's ever been, ever on record. And, you know, these are obviously things that have been happening since COVID, right? Empty buildings mean unpaid leases, which means stressed landlords and nervous banks. So, you know, this is what most people aren't really talking about right now. You know, our commercial real estate is tied to a lot of banks, right? Banks hold these loans, and your savings are with these banks. It's all connected. The lights going off downtown could be another signal that your retirement account is at risk if it's sitting at a bank or an institution that's heavily tied into commercial real estate, which most likely they are.
Oh my goodness. So I get how empty office buildings could affect our retirement accounts if the instruments we're investing our retirement accounts in are in turn invested in these empty or these buildings with high vacancy rates. But before we go to that, Mr. Davis, what is causing that high vacancy rate? Like, why is that the case? And also, in a capitalist society where presumably there's a law of supply and demand, how did things get overbuilt by 20%?
Yeah, great question. What it is, a lot of people now work from home, so no longer need to be in an office. Big corporations are, they're cutting fat, they're cutting expenses. They're not generating, just because the stock market is doing well, this is not an indicator of our economy doing well. Right. We talked last about, where our job market is today, and it's not healthy. We've had a hiring freeze for a long time now, and incomes have not kept up with where they need to be. So, when it comes to, people moving their jobs home, it's more about affordability, and it's just not affordable for individuals to have a big lease each and every month for people that aren't even in the office. And, another reason is commercial banks, commercial lending, the rates are not cheap. And instead of paying a commercial loan, they're just letting this thing go into bankruptcy, and they're shutting their doors and letting the banks deal with it. And a lot of banks are sitting on unrealized losses, meaning they haven't claimed them yet. Because if they were to claim them, there's going to be some runs on the market, liquidation runs, and they want to keep making that market look like it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh my goodness. So is this what a zombie economy means, or is that something different? I mean,
I've heard that term. For me, my opinion, that would be a definitely a good analogy. I don't know if that 100% is the term.
right.
But it makes sense to me.
Well, let me go back to what we can know, because I think I just plucked that out of thin air. But
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you're really scaring me when you're talking about these unrealized losses, because it means the value just isn't there anymore in the bank's portfolio, right?
correct.
It looks healthier than it is. It's a kind of a Potemkin village of a portfolio, right? Whatever the metaphor is, it's a
Sure.
thing that is designed to not yet reveal that there's been a tremendous loss. And what happens? I mean, A, don't banks have to realize that loss sooner or later? And B,
Yes.
what are the knock-on effects? I think you were getting to this, of a bank holding on to or not closing the books, not saying, okay, fine, we got screwed on that one, we lost all this money. What does that do to you and me, or to other things downstream?
Yeah, the first answer is yes, to your first question. Most people don't realize their local bank could be overexposed to those failing office loans. They don't know that. Now, if they were to write all these losses off over, you're talking over 950 billion in commercial real estate loans mature this year alone, right? They mature 950 billion. When I say mature, that means that loan comes due at the end of this year. And if it can't be paid back, then it goes on the books as losses. And, that's a lot of money to claim in losses all at one time for any company.
Right.
And so, if you've got, Starbucks or Target or whatever company it is, or even a small mom and pops, if they were to realize those type of losses all at once, the business isn't going to do well.
So some banks are going to die, is what you're saying, when these.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, just Google how many banks have closed each and every year. Like the numbers are astronomical. Hundreds of banks close or get swallowed up by bigger ones.
And then what happens to the savings of people who had accounts at those banks?
It's based on the terms of that new bank that is taking over their account. It's Washington Mutual. They failed, right? And they were then bought out. What did that transition look like? It's really up to it's all about.
I can tell you, because I was a Washington Mutual client at the time.
Oh, wow!
Right, it was an absolute mess. And also, when there was fraud on their customer's account, which there was in my case, there was there was no one home to deal with it. Right, you just got sent in a circle, and it didn't matter because they knew they were going away. I didn't know they were going away, right? But rather than say, there's you're going off a cliff here with us, Naomi. Sorry, go move to Citibank or something. They just let it play out. So it was, I can tell you that was catastrophic. Sorry, go ahead.
That tells you everything right there. So, who in the million years would have thought that Washington Mutual would have went out of business, right?
Right.
So, again, our focus, and we've talked about this over and over again, it's just about preparing for situations that happen like this all the time. This is just one of many dominoes. When we talk about the Ghost Tower Index, it's just a fun way, a fun play on words,
right,
to give you some real information about what's going on in just one sector of many that we're all tied to.
Mr. Davis, can I just go back into the question of the ghost towers? Isn't it also the case, because I've seen these empty apartment buildings and residential buildings in Toronto, really in cities across the country and across the West, and cab drivers are always so useful. And a lot of cab drivers have told me, well, these are actually always empty, and they're always empty because Russian and Chinese oligarchs are stashing their money in these buildings. What would you say to that? Is that a factor at all in this situation here?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it reminds me. Or I think it was our last conversation how we talked about when you drive through neighborhoods and these small businesses. I mean, one after another are empty,
Right, right.
right? Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, again, it's just knowing, right? These smaller banks. A lot of people don't know that these smaller banks own 70% of these commercial loans. Not these. It's not the big, hedge funds. Obviously, they've got
Mm,
some skin in the game.
right.
But these are the same banks that manage your CDs, your
Mhm.
IRAs, your savings for retirees. When loans default,
Mm,
it hits deposits, credit access, even pensions, right? So it's about
right,
just being prepared and having a place where if these things do happen, you're not affected, and that's where
right.
we come into play.
And so the impact on the economy generally, isn't it also that all these workers who used to be going downtown and having lunch or getting their shoes repaired or getting their keys
Yeah,
out or whatever downtown are no longer patronizing those businesses, right? So then those businesses are going belly up and creating more vacancies. Isn't that the case, or do I have it wrong?
no, you have it absolutely right. You nailed it. Yeah, we talked about the velocity of money, right? So if they're
Right.
not going down to an office building anymore,
Hmm.
that same office building, ours in particular, they have a little cafe that they
Hmm.
lease out here at the building.
Hmm.
And that used to be a cash cow, I'm sure, for them when the building was full. Go
Mm,
down there, get a sandwich, go down there, get a salad. When that business closes, so does his business.
right.
And then, it's a trickle effect from there, just like you said, the local gas station, the local shoe repair guy. I mean, you absolutely nailed it.
Wow. Okay. So uh, and this is really something that we can't foresee, right? If we put all of our retirement savings in the stock market or in a mutual fund, we really can't know, are they invested in a tower that becomes a ghost tower, right? That's all the more reason to diversify, is I'm guessing.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Again, you are in one place, which is dollar bills and paper assets.
Mhm.
What is really inside that mutual fund?
Right.
What's in your IRA? Um,
Wow.
you may have a really good foundation of what's in there, but you still don't know. There's so much underlining to what's in the market and what's in your mutual fund. So yeah, you nailed it. It's just really key diversification, whether it's your money you're diversifying or your lifestyle. I mean, it's just
Right.
diversification, period.
Um, Gosh, this is so scary. I mean, it means that no amount of due diligence you might be able to do is going to reveal basically the fundamentals are not sound. Is what you're saying, and you can't have visibility into that as a saver, as an investor, if you're not diversified. It sounds to me. Is that not correct?
100%. I mean, the people that are watching and listening to you and I, they don't.
There is a worldwide rush for gold right now and precious metals. China is buying gold. There are rumors that the Federal Reserve will be using gold to pay off federal debt, or the federal government will be using gold to pay off federal debt. Um, Famous investors are buying gold. And there's a movement away from the dollar worldwide. And you can see that there are warning signs in the economy that appeared before the Great Depression in 2008 that are flashing red right now. So, in all this instability, it is a very good idea to protect your savings, to protect your IRA by diversifying into precious metals, especially gold. There are a lot of gold companies out there. Not all of them are kosher. Not all of them are responsible businesses. American Alternative Assets really is, and we're very, very proud to have them as a sponsor. We're very picky about our sponsors, and we only accept sponsors who have products that we either use or invest in ourselves. So I really encourage you to go to cloutgold.com, CLOUTGOLD.com, and get a free report explaining to you what the risks are of not diversifying into gold and silver. And I just want to know that when Brian and I started talking about investing in gold 5 years ago, when it first became clear that you could do that easily, if we'd put in $1,000 then, it would be 5,000 now. If we put in 10,000 then, it would be 50,000 now, and so on. So obviously you can't predict everything about the future, but gold there's a limited amount of it on the planet. And in a time when you can have your assets switched off if they're digital, like the truckers in Canada had their bank account switched off. People in Spain are having their bank account switched off. All of China is now on a social credit system. Your assets can be switched off. And Europe is pushing for central bank digital currency. Now is the time to diversify into gold.
Don't need us to really think about it. Do you think everything's really financially sound in our country? I mean,
no, but you're giving me another incredibly powerful example.
Yes.
Like what I love about many things are fascinating about talking to you about these issues, but one of them is the role of like human thought patterns in economic decision making, and it's human error to think I can read the paper, I can analyze what's coming in, I can make really good decisions about where to put my money. But what you've just said to me is really scary, because it means that no matter how much I might analyze what's in the Wall Street Journal or in Fortune magazine, I cannot know some chunk of bad investments that banks have on their balance sheets. And I can't know if it's my bank that has that. So that is
you, especially more than anybody. Washington Mutual, it was an experience for you. It's just like you said. It's one. There's so many variables. Empty buildings. They threaten savings. That's the Ghost Tower Index that we're educating people on, and your viewers and listeners have an opportunity. We've provided this for the end of the show, but if your retirement is in traditional bank CDs or savings accounts, it's time to explore alternatives that aren't exposed to commercial real estate or all these variables, and that's gold, silver, platinum.
Oh my gosh, just in time. Well, let's talk about it. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Like, when I first began having these conversations with you, I felt like this was fascinating, but a bit theoretical, like I've got time. And now I feel like I don't have any time. Like, the more of my savings I can shift over into something that isn't touched by these currents, the better. So let's talk about President Trump and the Federal Reserve. He's investigating the Federal Reserve, which is pretty gutsy, I think, considering the role of the Federal Reserve. But I don't understand the nuances. Talk to me about that, and what impact, if any, does it have on the discussions we're having about retirement and savings and diversification?
Yeah, I think Trump, DOJ, opening up this criminal probe into the Fed chairman. It's something we've never seen at this level. Just that alone, to me, is kind of a tell sign that things are just so uncertain. It raises red flags whether the Fed can still act independently, or if it becomes, politicized. Right? The timing is no coincidence. I mean, Powell's term is ending here, I think, is it May? I think it's May this year, May 15th, if I remember correctly. So, that deadline now matters more, right? I mean, they've been going back and forth ever since he's been, in office from his first term. And, I think it just shows, again, just the instability that we've got here. It shows the inflation, interest rates, what the Fed is steering, Trump's trying to change, and that's scary. The markets they're already reacting. That's why gold hit an all-time high. Silver is absolutely exploding right now. It's up 180 something percent in the last year, because people are reacting to, like, Trump he's doing a federal investigation on Jerome Powell. It's insane.
But I sort of get the big picture, but I don't understand the details. Like, what does it mean that he's investigating the Fed? What is that? Why does that create more instability? Why would that cause silver to skyrocket like that?
Well, Jerome came out saying it's a witch hunt, right? So, and it's a design. This is just more rhetoric in the mainstream media, makes Trump look like he's doing something. He wants control. Jerome Powell hasn't ever really done a good job. All they talk about is quantitative easing and quantitative tightening, lower rates, raise rates, right? But that doesn't help. That doesn't help middle Americans, right? So Trump gets control. He's just trying to shake them out so he can take over, plug someone else into the seat. That's where it's coming from.
Oh, I see. Why do we even need a Federal Reserve? I mean, it was invented right at the beginning of the 20th century. Yeah. Our economy worked fine before we had a Federal Reserve. It's not a government agency, which a lot of people don't know. Is it possible that Trump is just going to close it down?
That's what he wants. I mean, that's what he's been pulling for, and that's why he's trying to squeeze him out. I think it's difficult. I can't be the one to say, how those fundamentals will shake out after this is all said and done. But you are correct. It was the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. Same year the IRS was created. And that was by design. It was by design. The FDIC was something that they created. It's all control. It's all control. It's all being able to, print money, leverage debt. And, it's something we definitely don't need, but that is an undertaking to change that. And I think, that's what you have to pay attention to is all that uncertainty going on with our Federal Reserve and Trump trying to change the seats. This is where you should really be paying attention to, okay, let me get out of their way. Right. And let me make sure my retirement, because when they're feuding like this and there's uncertainty like that, that's why you're seeing gold and silver and platinum go up. Because
I see. I get what you're saying. So Mr. Davis, what you're really saying is that fight between them puts that situation into the instability category, just like the ghost towers are in the instability category, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, got it. And the more big chunks of the economy or things that could affect the economy go into the instability category, the better precious metals do, because they are not affected by this kind of infighting and really, like, it is scary, you're right. I mean, Trump could gain control and say, print all the money in the world or print no more money ever. We're going back on the gold standard. I mean, he could do anything.
Well, no, and there's a whole revaluation of gold that Trump wants to do, because if you go in and revalue gold, because we still recognize gold even though it's over $4,600 an ounce right now.
Wow!
And as a country, we still recognize it. I think it's like $42 and some odd cents is the value that we recognize it at. And so that's what we value gold at. And so just like we did back after the Great Depression, we went in and revalued gold from $20 to $35 and put everything on a gold standard eventually after that. What that did is, when you revalue the price of gold, it lessens the load of debt on paper that we have. And right now, if no one's paying attention, and I hope you are, our debt is over $38 trillion and counting. And so that this is why, if Trump can squeeze out Jerome Powell, he can bring in his stable coin that he legally brought in on the 18th of July last year, like by law. It's a thing now. That's another way they can sell treasuries, another way to start leveraging more debt, because they're running out of options to leverage debt. No one wants our treasuries. So there's so much, and that's why it's about get out of their way.
Right.
Your gold and silver isn't affected by policy changes or currency wars, because you're in control, and you're not in control of many things these days. But if you own physical gold and silver, you're in control.
You've never made a stronger case. I mean, now that I understand a little better what is at stake with these wars that are being waged around the Fed, and also now that I understand a little better from what you just said, what the kind of validation of stablecoin means, and the fact that we're running out of the ability to leverage debt, which means we're kind of losing our good faith and credit, right, as a nation, as a business, right?
Just like the Brits did, UK after World War II, the sterling pound. They lost faith in that because they didn't have any more credit. They blew their money out in the war. They didn't have, and then that's how we stepped in because they lost faith in the sterling pound.
Is that why they let go of their colonies?
Yeah, they had to. Yeah, financially. Wow. Yeah. All empires come to an end.
Oh my gosh. Do you know that you are literally the first person who's explained that to me? I mean, it was a dramatic thing. Like in a couple of years, it was like, okay, goodbye, empire on which the sun never sets. We're doing this because we're awesome people and you all deserve sovereignty. But really what you said is they couldn't afford to hang on to them anymore.
No. And then no one had confidence in the currency anymore. And that's where we came in and we put our foot on their neck and we took over. And we've been living pretty good for the last 50, 60 years. It's been pretty unheard of how we've been able to live. You, me, my mother, father, a lot of individuals for the last 50, 60 years, like really not hard living at all. We've made the rules. We've owned the dollar and the reserve currency globally. Right. But now that's starting to change. Other countries are going, no, we're gonna spend our own money. I mean, China now, if you hold the yuan, they're going to pay you interest on what you hold.
Whoa.
That's how powerful like these countries can get to make it. And so that's the real significance with the Fed potentially compromised. The dollar stability is what it comes down to, the uncertainty of our dollar. And, again, that's why we're talking here today. It's about diversification beyond currency dependence. Yeah.
Whoa. So theoretically, if we really do run out of an ability to leverage debt, another country could come to us. I mean, China holds so much of our debt. They could do the same thing to us that we did to Britain, right? They could say, pay up, or we're taking your farmland, we're taking your buildings, we're taking your water supplies, we're taking your electricity grid.
Yep. And if they have that opportunity, they will. They're not going to go to war with us because no one wants to do that. We're no one's got a better military than we do. I mean, look what we just did to Venezuela. It's proven. We've got some inside tracking. I mean, we were in and out before people even woke up and knew what was going on.
It was incredible. I don't know how it was possible. Yeah.
Insane.
Right. But economically, we could be very vulnerable.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%.
Wow. So, okay, well, this brings us to something you've said before, which is you can identify 5 warning signs when things are like flashing red. Is that one of them, the inability to leverage debt, or what are the 5 warning signs?
Yes. Siren 1 is the Powell countdown. Political. That's political risk we're talking about right now, and that's probably with what's going on right now. One of the biggest flashing sirens that people would want to pay attention to. And then obviously, vacant buildings as you drive through, AI bubble, 1.6 trillion is expected spending, but 95% of the companies report no rate of return. So 1, 2, and 3 is the ghost towers. AI, again, they're spending so much money, but nothing's coming back from those investments. That's what most people are not paying attention to.
Let me jump in if I may. You and I talked about that. We had a fascinating conversation about the AI bubble, and you completely persuaded me that there's nothing there yet. But I don't think we got to, what is the business model? Like, how do they expect to make money?
So like Oracle, for example, right? They're just building. They build these big data centers and they're accumulating data through AI like ChatGPT. So they accumulate all that data that provides us with these quick responses and very in-depth information. But I don't pay for ChatGPT. I use the free one.
Right.
I can pay for their services, but they give you so much with the free one. There's no point for me to even pay for it. Right. So there's no real, set, revenue type of plan in just say, ChatGPT, for example. So how are they making their money? They're really not making any money, but they're spending money to develop it and hope one day it pays off.
Wow. So basically they're getting all this massive investment capital with
Yes.
no clear business plan.
Exactly.
So
You get
that's literally
massive investment capital.
They're
Exactly.
amassing investment capital. So this is literally like the definition of a bubble, right? Because they might
Exactly.
not find that magical way to
Yes.
monetize.
Yes.
It's like the tulips in the 17th century in the Netherlands. It's like,
Yeah.
here's a
It's
$10,000 guilder tulip. No, it isn't, Johan. I say it
Yep.
is, right?
Yeah, so we've got three, right? The fourth one is, the hidden job crisis, right? We've been talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Say more. What do you mean by that?
Well, no, there's no jobs. No, the revised numbers show 60 fewer jobs monthly, and they go and revise, and then it's 60,000 less jobs. No one's working, making money, and how do you spend money and generate a strong economy if no one's making enough money up and beyond their actual bills that they're paying, right? And so, yeah, I would challenge a lot of people to really think about, my aunt. Yeah, she's been looking for a job for 3 months or 12 months or 2 years. Once they're looking for a job longer than a certain period of time, they don't even count it as them being unemployed anymore. And so I'm not a professional when it comes to that, but the way that they come up with unemployment is interesting. The fifth siren is $1 trillion in interest payments, which is now bigger than our defense budget.
Oh my God.
That's huge.
That's just interest. That's just interest. That's not even
just interest on the money.
God.
Yep. Same kind of stress points we see and have seen. I mean, 2008 always comes to mind, but same type of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that 5?
That's the 5 that we were talking about. But I mean, look, we can talk until we're blue in the face about how many sirens that are going off. But those are the core that we point out and really dig into in the guide that we're going to provide here for everybody to dig into. So they know exactly what we're talking about here in today's podcast.
What happened to the good jobs? Where did they go? India? I mean, I'm in Lake Placid right now. Which is, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess you could argue that it's not a natural, like apart from the, Olympics or winter sports or tourism, it's not really a topography for a lot of, a huge economy. But even when I just go to small town America or, Buffalo or Albany, I feel like those towns are like hollowed out, like the good middle class jobs just don't exist anymore. Is that because manufacturing was outsourced overseas by the Clintons and on? Is it because of, call centers in India? Like, and when people are working, I mean, I hear this from people all the time, when they're working full time, 40 hours a week, even for what are good jobs in a lot of areas, like, $18 to $25 an hour, they can barely pay their bills. There's no affordable housing. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Just from common knowledge, I can speak from, right? If for example, we're in California, so because of taxes, that's one thing, that comes to mind for me is the way that California taxes businesses. They're driven out of California. And some just to say Texas, right? But that person that has that job here in California no longer has a job, unless he just uproots his whole family and moves to Texas, which a lot do. And that puts a lot of stress on the family. Do they have enough money to make that move? Right? Do they have to tap into their savings? There's so many variables to why jobs are going away. You mentioned quite a few of them just now that are spot on. Technology is obviously going to be one of the biggest components here, where AI does the job for you, right? I mean, China has like football field after football field after football field warehouses that produce solar power, which is made with a lot of silver, by the way, and why there's a huge demand for it as well. But they have an entire plant being ran by robots and AI. So, but they've adapted, right? They have a smaller and smaller population as well, right? Same with us. Families aren't having as many kids as they used to. I didn't. Why do you think that is?
Expensive.
Yeah, exactly. They can't afford it.
Right.
Right. And so why can't they afford it? Because the company that they were working for went to Texas or took their job overseas, which happens all the time. Which more power to the overseas, right? But you call customer service all the time. How many times do you get somebody in our states?
Well, and also I'm very aware when I reach a call center overseas that there go those American jobs, like
Right.
it's not a zero sum game. I mean, how can I put it? Or it
Well,
is a zero sum game.
yeah.
Like those jobs got lost. I was just in India, and it's a fascinating country.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen happier people because they've got their beautiful ancient civilization and this booming, like they are on the way up, and they're like
Yes.
training their kids to take over and to master AI, and their kids are learning Latin and doing like high level electronics in third grade. I mean, it felt the way America used to feel in the 60s with the moonshot and the kind of race against the Soviet Union intellectually. It was so full of energy and ferment. And I remember when America felt that way. But if you just have a bunch of globalists saying, we're going to take this country over here in Southeast Asia and do all our investment over there, all our development of personnel over there, our managers over there, our accountants over there, all the white collar jobs. It's the giant sucking sound in the United States. Like I feel the loss of those jobs. They're not on Main Street anymore.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, you nailed it right there. I'd love to point that out. What you just said was brilliant. These other countries, we're stuck in the past. We're like this really antiquated system that no one wants to change. They just want to keep following along. While these other countries are starting to really invest in their people, their resources. It's what China's doing, infrastructure, building things out, internet wiring, like making these countries, running water. You talked about water. This is what these countries are doing. They're starting to really make themselves known, and they're forming alliances, right?
Yep.
I mean, you've got Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, and some major countries that are coming together now, combining their resources, their lithium, their nickel, right? Indonesia owns 75% of the nickel market.
Oh my goodness.
China's been building them up forever. I mean, copper, like commodities in general are going to absolutely explode over the next couple of years. And so, these countries they're not going away. And this is why I will say, with a lot of things that Trump does, they're insane, but he is, only focusing on America, but he's focusing on making it his America to me.
Interesting.
Personally. So, we have to start doing that, stop giving our money out to these other countries. And I mean, our veterans get one day a year. They get very little money as we send billions and billions to Ukraine. There's got to be a reason for that. Do we know? No, but what it creates uncertainty. It creates volatility. And again, that's why you want to make sure you have at least a little peace of mind knowing you've got some money and some wealth stored in an asset that's up 60% in the last year alone, which is gold.
Unbelievable. Well, let's go in our last few minutes to how do people get started? Because, I often reach this point in conversation with you where I'm like completely sold. I know that people, no, seriously, I know people out there are like, I might only have $5,000 or $10,000, or I'm not there yet, but I have something to aspire to. I'm going to save up 5,000. Is that enough? Can I call cloutgold.com and get started with that? Or do I need 100,000? Or, will these people even talk to me? Can you walk us through the getting started? And for technical reasons of our own, we should spend the next few minutes doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you mentioned the first way to do it, which is cloutgold.com. Go there, get the information that we're talking about today in a well-written, ebook, I guess you would call it. Call us 888-503. I don't even know what is my direct number. The toll-free number is 888-503-1553. That's a great way to get in touch with us and, get a free consultation. Take a look at your retirement account, see if there's some opportunity for you to reposition some of it in the best performing asset in the last 2 to 3 years. If you look at some of the indexes, the last 20, 25 years. So,
I always jump in at this point and say, my husband, Brian, and I, if we had invested in gold 5 years ago when we first began talking about it, we would almost have quintupled our investment. It would be almost 5x what we would have invested. So it's never too late, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Never too late. This market, it's a bull market that's just getting started. The demand, what some of the indicators are too, not to get really technical, but like when silver goes up as much as it has, everything corrects, right? And so it corrected, and it corrected pretty heavily, but then it went right back up and hit all-time highs again.
Wow.
And so it's completely different. It's a completely different market. Now you're starting to get like the novice investor involved now. And when you start getting some novices, like just really like new investors into this market, silver always outperforms gold. No one knows that. So more of a reason, to give us a call or go to the website, get the free guide and have a conversation. It starts with just having a conversation. We're just looking to make a friend, educate, explain how you can, move some of your money into gold and silver and protect and preserve your wealth for you and your family. It's about legacy, really.
So really, I just want to encourage people. These are very down-to-earth, responsive, respectful, nice people on the other end of the line. There's a reason we welcomed American Alternative Assets as our gold sponsor. We had, a choice, and there are more and less fabulous and reputable companies out there, and they are absolutely, we're so proud they're our sponsor. You will find them to be incredibly responsive, thorough, and transparent. So
Thank you.
I can't stress that enough. There's you don't want to risk your savings with people who are not as reputable as American Alternative Assets. But you would also say, wouldn't you, Mr. Davis, that there's no such thing as a stupid question, right? Or, starting too small or whatever. People can.
No, at the end of the day, like I said, we're just looking to make a friend. If we need to point that friend in a different direction because it's a smaller amount that doesn't make sense with what we focus on, then we'll do so. Right. Again, the guide is free. It's at
cloutgold.com.
Cloutgold.com. It's free. And not only can you get that free guide, but you'll also give yourself an opportunity for one of our agents to give you a call and have a conversation with you. Just starts with the conversation, getting a better idea of how you're positioned, what your goals are, what your concerns are, more importantly, and how we can address those concerns and provide a solution with gold, silver, platinum, and palladium.
Thank goodness. And the other thing I find is that, like, even if, I'm not there yet, knowing what it will take to get an account, is very motivating.
And that's what we can help you with. Yeah. Walk you through how you can get yourself in the position, how you get an account set up with us and with our custodian and who that custodian is. There's some cost involved with the custodian, like any custodian out there. We want to make sure you know what those are, so you know what you're looking at. Lay it out A to Z, so you guys can make a prepared and educated decision on if you want to start protecting and preparing for what's coming.
I would just add one more thing while I've still got you, Mr.
Yeah.
Davis. I live in New York
Yeah.
in part-time in New York City, and we now have an actual communist mayor. Our
I
communist mayor
know you do.
has been inaugurated. And I mention this because the number what, it used to be when we last spoke, oh, real estate is, pretty solid and precious metals are pretty solid. They can't make your real estate worth nothing. Well, it turns out they can make your real estate worth nothing. That one of the first things that Zoran Mamdani did was talk about how great it's going to be when the city kind of claims ownership of multifamily dwellings.
Oof.
And his tenant advocacy person called home ownership white supremacy. And so he heard from all kinds of, black and brown and various backgrounds homeowners and landlords who are like, this is lunacy, saving up to get a rental property or a townhouse where you can rent part out or a multifamily is one of the critical ways immigrants and working people and people of all backgrounds and races move up the ladder
Yeah.
and pass on wealth to the next generation. But even that is not secure anymore in New York City. Like there's people are fleeing New York City with their real estate dollars because it's no longer a safe environment to be a landlord. I just wanted to throw that out there because that kind of reinforces that gold and silver are the last assets standing that can't be nationalized by communists.
Right? It can't be changed into digital currency. It's yours. It's legal tenure. It's like having real estate, but in your pocket where it's not leveraged against the bank. You are the bank. You are you're your own bank, right? If something bad was to happen, and obviously we don't want that, but if something does bad happen, and we have crashes, right? Our markets crashed, our economy has crashed and gone into a heavy recession. So you have the ability to always have something that is liquid. Gold is a diversifier. It's liquid, it's legacy, it's preservation, it holds value. And so I think, at the very least, get your free guides, start there. If you want to start slow, give us a call. Again, if you want to have a conversation, it's just a conversation.
Right.
And that number is 888-503-1553. Or just keep coming back every time we do a show and, take it at your pace.
Right. And you guys don't forget to go to cloudgold.com as well. You've got to download that free guide. It's so informative. We've run out of time. It's been so wonderful to talk to you, although terrifying as usual, terrifying, but you do always give me hope that there's a way to protect ourselves. Sorry.
I know, and not the objective to terrify anybody, but I do understand what you're saying. Definitely eye-opening stuff, and always a pleasure to be with you. Your energy is amazing, and thank you so much for having me.
We're so honored to have American Alternative Assets on our show, and Shanon Davis, the CEO. And you guys don't hesitate. You've got to go to cloudgold.com or call that number, and we'll see you in a few weeks. And you guys, don't take my word for it. Get the guide, and please diversify, everyone. It's rocky times ahead, but we've got a good advisor. Thank you so much, Shanon Davis. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you. Bye for now.